The wind tore at their ears, a high-pitched scream that drowned out every other sound. Ahmed reached out, fingers clawing at empty air, catching Sara's hand just as the darkness seemed to solidify around them. They were falling, weightless and blind, until the void shattered. A golden pulse rippled through the cavern, thick and warm like liquid light. It caught them mid-air, dragging their momentum to a halt with sudden, jarring force. Their boots hit solid ground with a dull thud. Ahmed exhaled, his chest heaving, and pulled his hand away to steady himself. They stood up, shaking the dust from their palms, and looked forward. The darkness was gone. In its place, a sprawling city stretched into the deep earth. Obsidian pillars rose like jagged teeth, bound by vines that glowed with a rhythmic, pulsing blue light. The streets were paved in silver, reflecting the bioluminescent moss that clung to every surface. It was a silent, impossible world buried beneath the crust of the earth. Sara took a step forward, her boot clicking against the polished metal floor. The air here was cool, smelling of damp stone and ozone. Maria reached out, tracing the deep, geometric carvings etched into a nearby obsidian wall. "This is impossible," she whispered, her voice barely carrying in the vast, still air. Yahya pulled the compass from his pocket. The needle spun in frantic, erratic circles, clicking against the glass casing until it suddenly locked, pointing toward a massive, spire-topped palace looming at the city center. They followed the direction, their footsteps echoing sharply against the metallic architecture. The streets remained empty, devoid of any movement save for the rhythmic, pulsing light of the moss. As they reached the base of the palace, the heavy stone gates groaned. Without a hand touching the surface, the doors swung inward, revealing a grand hall bathed in a deep, suffocating amber glow. They stepped over the threshold, the air growing heavy and warm. An old man sat upon a raised dais at the far end of the chamber. His long white beard spilled over his shoulders, and he held a staff that hummed with a low, vibrating frequency. He tapped the wood against the floor, and the sound resonated like a tolling bell, vibrating through their very bones. "I have been waiting," he rumbled, his voice echoing from every corner of the hall. The guardian rose from the dais, his eyes catching the amber light and reflecting it back like polished glass. He raised his staff, the tip glowing with a sudden, blinding intensity. With a sharp flick of his wrist, he carved the air. 5 shimmering portals tore open in the space between them, hovering like jagged wounds in reality. "To pass," the guardian rumbled, "you must face the mirror of truth." One by one, the family members turned toward their own reflection. Maria stared into her portal, watching a crowd jeer at her past mistakes. Sophia looked into hers, seeing only a desolate, empty landscape. Yahya reached out, but his portal showed his family slipping through his fingers. Ahmed stood frozen, witnessing a world devoid of everyone he loved. Sara looked into her own portal, watching her shadow rise to consume her. The silence in the hall grew heavy, pressing against their chests like a physical weight. No one spoke. No one moved. The only sound was the faint, rhythmic hum of the staff. They were standing inches apart, yet the portals had carved a vast, unbridgeable distance between them. The suffocating quiet held for a heartbeat more. Then Maria stepped forward. She did not look away from the jeering crowd in her portal. Instead, she planted her feet and squared her shoulders. "I am afraid," she declared, her voice steady and cutting through the gloom, "but I will not let it stop me." Sophia moved instantly, stepping into the space beside her. Her eyes were clear, fixed on the desolate landscape. "I am never truly alone as long as we stand together," she added. Yahya clenched his fists, the knuckles turning white, his gaze hardening as he stared at the vision of his family fading. "I will grow stronger to protect them," he vowed. The air in the hall began to vibrate, the frequency rising until it hummed in their teeth. As their voices overlapped, the shimmering portals groaned. Cracks of brilliant white light spiderwebbed across the surface of the visions. With a sound like breaking glass, the portals exploded into thousands of glowing particles, The hall erupted in a blinding golden brilliance that washed away the shadows. The guardian smiled, the expression softening his features. He extended a withered hand, palm open, revealing a jagged shard of pure pulsing energy. He stepped off the dais and pressed the shard into the center of their jewel. "You have conquered the internal shadow," he said. The guardian's words had barely faded when the floor beneath them lurched. A deep, guttural rumble vibrated through the stone, growing into a deafening roar. Outside the palace, the massive stone gates disintegrated under an immense, unseen pressure. A wall of water surged into the city. The bioluminescent moss flickered once, twice, and then vanished, plunging the metropolis into a suffocating, watery gloom. The palace floor tilted violently, throwing them off balance. Ahmed lunged, catching Sara's hand and pulling the others into a tight line. "Run!" he shouted. They sprinted toward the exit, their boots sliding on the slick, shifting stone. Behind them, the palace pillars groaned and snapped, the ceiling beginning to buckle. The water was chasing them through the dark. They did not look back. They pushed forward, racing to outrun the tide.